Badlands, running to Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Mr. Vice President, I'm going off script again, I know, but I just want to personally thank you. We've been through some stuff. We've gone through some of the most complex military operations this country's ever conducted, and your steady hand and your leadership during those was a great source of strength for me. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your character. Thank you for your selfless service. Thank you for commitment. Thank you for being a mentor to me, Mr. Vice President.
It's called the swamp. And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it. Did I get that one right? Every 4 years, we gather on these steps to carry out the orderly and peaceful transfer of power. Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now. The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
This is a president of the United States who is a danger to the republic.
America first.
He knows he's an illegitimate president.
The oath of office I take today is an oath of allegiance to all Americans.
The great Trump recovery.
America will never be a socialist country. I will fight for you with every breath in my body.
Russia, Russian, pro-Russian, Russian, Russia, Russian, 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 the Russians. Russian.
Russia, Russia, Russia.
And I will never, ever let you down.
A dangerous virus is spreading rapidly in China, and U.S. officials are very worried that it could come here.
This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this.
The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action. What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election. Together, we will make America strong again. You know what it's about? Fraud, fake ballots. We will make America wealthy again. They are trying to steal the election.
Now, under the leadership of President Trump, we are fully realizing President Kennedy's prescient view of Special Operations Forces.
We will make America proud again. And watch, please, those mail-in ballots. We will make America safe again. And in millions and millions of ballots, their vote is under what they thought they needed. They're dumping more ballots in there, okay? And yes, together, we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you. If we are right about the fraud, Joe Biden can't be president.
Congress, the chair declares the joint session dissolved.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of the Devolution Power Hour. Chris is not here tonight. I think he's at a birthday party for somebody. I think he's like a famous dude too. So, but we did record something, and I'm going to play that for you guys here in a little bit. It's about an hour long, and I'll do my spiel here before. I'll come on after to read rants. Just want to say a few things before I get rolling into that. First of all, about yesterday's stream, I meant what I said when I said I hate that shit. I couldn't even go on like Twitter today until like the last half hour to share my stream, and I saw a video from Alpha that I had to reshare. But I avoided it all day ever since last night. I couldn't do it, and I don't want to do it. I have no interest. I don't want to talk about this ever again. I want to move on. I want to get back to focusing on my content. I want to get back to not having to deal with that stuff. And I know it's not going to be like that 100%. I mean, literally, Kate's co-host was accusing me of murder in the chat last night while I was going. And yes, we have the whole thing recorded, all that stuff. I know it's not going to be 100% possible. Some people are doubling down, tripling down. Some people are pretending like, they had no part in this, whatever. But I'm personally going to move on, going to move forward and avoid all the public part of this. I didn't want to have to do what happened last night. I don't want to have to ever do it again. With that said, the one thing that you guys have been so fantastic about already is I put up an email address last night, and I've kind of been blown away by the number of messages that I've already received. And I'm just going to read this statement one more time for you guys because it's already been so helpful and so revealing. If Kate, any content creator, or any former sponsor of Badlands has privately contacted you with statements such as those that you saw in that video last night, including but not limited to anything to do with the reason for Ms. Brenner's termination, the unfounded allegation that Badlands Media engages in the purchase of views, or any claims that Badlands Media is being operated in a corrupt manner, please email us, and especially with screenshots, we've gotten a lot of those today, at legal@badlandsmedia.org. And especially the purchase of views. That's one that I knew was going on from some other content creators. How much that's been going on is what's kind of blowing my mind. And I wouldn't be surprised. Keep an eye on the numbers tonight. We have noticed, and Rumble is aware, we make them aware anytime we're suspicious of this happening. They will make our numbers go wonky. They'll bring them up just to tank them. So it's like, why is their numbers so funky? Keep an eye on that tonight. Well, one, we're being featured, so whenever they put Fresh and Fit on, you will also see the numbers go down. But otherwise, you see weird stuff like that. That's likely what's going on. So if you see anybody, or if anybody has contacted you privately, they're not doing it publicly, they're doing it privately. As I've got multiple messages now proving it, please make us aware. Now, with that said, I will come on and read the rants after I play this video. We'll probably do a sponsor later too. You know what? Before we even do that, let me get a quick plug of our upcoming conference. Because if you guys aren't aware of this, I'm very excited about Cocoa Beach. We got coming up very soon. I don't think this is the updated graphic. Yeah, this is not the updated graphic. So Miss Bright, if you're watching, forgive me, and I apologize. But upcoming conference, November 6th through the 9th. We still have some tickets available, including some single-day tickets. We would love to have you guys come hang out with us in person. Go to badlandsmedia.tv/events. And if you can't hang out with us in person, you can also join us virtually from the comfort of your home with a virtual ticket. badlandsmedia.tv/events. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I really don't want to talk about it anymore. We have all the rants from last night's stream, and I truly, truly appreciate the support, but I'm not going to go through and read those publicly. I'm not going to read any boosts that have to do with it publicly. If you guys want to support the shows and the content creators and stuff, I appreciate it. We love you, but I want to move forward, truly, and that's what I'm going to try to do until eventually I'm probably going to get drugged back into it again. But with that said, we're going to use this video of me and Chris, an hour long, as a palate cleanse. I'll come back on if there's anything interesting to talk about. I'll do so. Otherwise, I'll go through the rants then. But yeah, this is from earlier today around noon. My daughter, we had her birthday party today at the pumpkin patch. And so and he was out of town tonight, so we had to record it pretty early. We missed whatever happened the rest of the day. And again, I avoided social media, and I'm probably going to avoid social media until Monday morning when I start doing show prep for the Daily Herald. Oh, I think I'm going on with Burning Bright tomorrow. Might be a little tougher to not talk about this stuff, but I'll do it. I'll do my best. I can't guarantee he will. Anyway, here's a recorded video from noon today for an hour, and then I'll be back on afterwards. You guys are awesome. Thank you. And again, don't forget email if anybody's contacted you, legal@badlandsmedia.org. All right, Chris, welcome to the stream from an undisclosed location, as always.
Always undisclosed, yeah.
How is your week going, man?
It's going pretty well. And it's, nice not to be in the void right now. Yeah. But it's no complaints.
How are you choosing to celebrate this No King's Day, protest day, whatever?
Well, I think that the celebration that would be best had for you and I is to talk about how ridiculous this thing is. And I think it's important for everybody to remember when they did the first No Kings rally, I think that was back in June or something, they did it to coincide with gay pride so that it would look like they had these massive anti-Trump turnouts, but it was really just homosexuals practicing the first and foremost of all the deadly sins.
I forgot about that. I thought they did it in conjunction with the 250th anniversary of the Army or whatever, because wasn't it during the parade that they did it?
That's right. I think it was all the same weekend.
Interesting. Yeah, because I remember
unless I'm misremembering, but I'm pretty sure
I was in DC around that time, and I was expecting there to be I was there the day before the parade. And there was nothing. There wasn't a lefty in sight that I could see. So even the following day when you saw the videos and stuff, it's like, it seems a little manufactured. But what we're seeing now, I think, by the way, everybody, I probably already would have said that this is being recorded because I am going live to play this recording. But this is recorded, so it's like, almost noon Central. So the protests are barely getting off the ground here. I think they're just kind of starting. A couple of videos floating around in the wild we could probably look at. But what are your thoughts about the protests in general, man?
Well, actually, do you have a video of it?
I have this one. This is Washington, D.C.
These people are such dorks.
Justice! What do we want now? What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
The demographic is surprising. Like older people,
old white people.
Yeah,
older.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's mostly what it was for the June event as well.
Interesting.
Yeah. So in Boston on June 14th, the city's Pride Parade coincided with the No Kings Day of protest. Organizers of No Kings worked with local groups to add a No Kings message into the Pride event under slogans like "No Kings, but Yas Queen."
What? This is so stupid.
Yeah, but that made them look relevant, I guess. Otherwise, does anybody show up to these things?
Probably not. Like I'm sure some would. But what is the point? Like, what are they exactly trying to do here? What are they trying to accomplish with these protests?
I don't know. I think part of it is just narrative framing, trying to make it look like Trump is exercising all of this illegitimate power. They've been trying to delegitimize Trump for a decade now. Hasn't worked, but they love calling him an authoritarian. They need that narrative to be accepted in order to advance to the next stage, which is saying that he's Hitler and MAGA are Nazis and that he's trying to destroy the world. I mean, look at
Texas.
And,
currently at the,
not about their ages or anything, but also that, we're told that Democrats are the party of young people and racial minorities. And what we have here is maybe some early Generation X, but otherwise pretty much looks like, 90% baby boomers? And I know if you say the word boomers, everybody in the chat gets upset. So trust me, guys, it's going to be okay. We're not saying anything bad about baby boomers.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in my experience, you know, a lot of the people that even come to some of our events are, I would say, this age demographic. I think they're the ones that are, you know, they're maybe not working anymore, retired. They have probably more of a passion for getting involved locally, and getting involved just generally. So, I mean, I guess that to a degree that makes sense. It's just funny to me that like the idea of them protesting kings or kingship or whatever, royalty, and you know, the conclusion of that would be, okay, if Trump is a king, you're gonna have to like remove him from power, right? It's hard for me to imagine these people, you know, overthrowing a king.
That's definitely true, but the revolutionary aspect of that, you know, the story about the birth of America is that we wanted to overthrow this monarch who was exercising his undue power. Now, is Donald Trump a monarch? Hey, man, maybe. You know, we've talked about that before. He is routinely presented to the world as essentially the king of the world. You know, when he went over to the Middle East, when he went to the Notre Dame Cathedral reopening last fall, his trip, his second state visit to the totally fake and soap opera oriented British monarchy, and then his trip to the Middle East just last week. He looks like the king of the world. Everything he says he wants eventually happens in geopolitics, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I mean, this demographic is insane. They're all There's not a single young person that I've seen yet. I don't think. I guess it's hard to know how old the dinosaur is, but other than that,
they're not. They're all white as well, which I mean is fine. Who cares? But but they are the ones who care. So it's funny that they're, you know, sticking up for all the like liberal identity groups, and there's only one identity group there doing it.
I mean, if anything, this is kind of a sign of the times for, you know, where we're at with some of the narrative warfare and the InfoWars stuff going on, because the fact that they can't even pay some of these like minority groups to show up to these things, like what is going on there? Like this just, it doesn't make sense. I'm surprised they're even holding these events, but we're going to keep looking at videos if I can find them.
Maybe it'll be like it was in 2020, where the havoc, they would kind of wait on that stuff until the late afternoon or evening, so that the protest, as you know, the media would be covering it all day long, would look very peaceful and legitimate. And at that point, the narrative on what the event actually was is already out there. And when people start, you know, violence or looting or whatever it is that they were doing, all that stuff would then be like marginalized, like these are exceptional examples of them actually causing problems.
Here is George Conway. This probably be funny.
Hey, Donald J., how many kids did you start today? Hey, Donald J., how many kids did you start today? Hey, okay, that's like,
what was he saying?
Hey, Donald J., how many kids did you starve today?
Kids starve. Wow. I thought it was something with kings just being on theme. What is up with the like glow in the dark hanky he's wearing around his neck? I mean, if George Conway is already an extremely gay fellow, and that little handkerchief, I guess he matched it with his dogs.
Yeah, I don't know. What says I'm a giraffe on his dog's thing? You see that?
I don't know.
What does that?
I guess that's supposed to be funny or something.
And I'm a giraffe. Well, yeah, I don't know. See Pikachu in the background there too. This is just so stupid to me. So stupid.
Yeah, and it seems a little out of place. Like there's not. Maybe it's just like an early justification to suggest that there is this big public movement for when the next phase of that starts. But man, I mean, you, I think, did probably the most extensive work on the idea that the Antifa network had been tracked at the end of the first term. I don't know if, you know, that's probably relevant now. But,
yeah, and we can get into that because Kash Patel, I just want to, let me play this one clip and then we'll talk Antifa a little bit further. Cool. This is in London right now, a No Kings protest.
So a place where they actually have a king.
No kings.
In front of the U.S. Embassy in London. No kings or a no tyrant protest, as it's called here. It was kind of put together pretty quickly, and I think they got a very good crowd considering. And there's the
So stupid. I don't understand the costumes either. Like when dinosaurs were alive, there were no kings. Is that what they're trying to draw us back to? The dinosaur age?
I guess. Yeah, the frogs in there. I don't know if those frogs are traitors or what, but they look kind of unhappy, so they probably are.
Yeah, what are those things on the left there?
It's weird when like frogs are working for the enemy.
Yeah, that is a little weird. Anyway, yeah, okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. The Antifa angle. They used to, Summer of Love, they would pay for a whole lot of shenanigans. And it was pretty obvious, right when everybody was supposed to be at home with COVID, the only acceptable thing you were allowed to do was go out and protest in the streets on behalf of George Floyd and the left. I wrote an article, part 6, way back in, when was this article? This was back in July of 2021. And it went through the timeline of Trump after he did the St. John's Church visit, and then how right in the immediate aftermath of that, they started surveilling all these protests. Bill Barr came out and said that they're seeing foreign actors, and it was just interesting, notable. I thought for sure, like, okay, they're starting to map this stuff out. Then you fast forward to the election, and that article came out in February, right afterwards, where they said they have this whole network of people that were ready. Like they admitted to having people ready on a moment's notice. They would just send out a text and they'd all be ready to protest, which I think you sent me this graphic earlier too.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the similar groups. I think I can't remember the exact number they said back in February, but you know, while Biden was in office, there were a lot of moments that were like, okay, this would make sense as a moment for Antifa to protest. You think of what's his name who got Kyle Rittenhouse, right? That verdict came in, no protests after that, at least not anything major. You had the Roe v. Wade overturned. You think that'd be a kind of a moment where they would want to show that, hey, we don't like this. The population doesn't like this. You know, fabricate some of that consensus against that ruling. Nothing. Moments like that where you'd expect there to be unrest, but there wasn't. And so it's like, well, what happened to the people that were upset about this in the first term? Well, maybe they were paid for. They've been mapped out, and some of their funding has been cut off. And then ever since the Charlie Kirk assassination, we've had this shift from the Trump administration into going after Antifa and domestic terrorism and the funding of it. And we've had executive orders, we've had NSPMs on it. We've had the strike force that's investigating some of this stuff. We have the DOJ assigning, I think it was 6 or 8 prosecutors specifically to look into funding. Scott Besson is looking into this stuff now. And then this article came out just yesterday. What's the date today? It says 18th. So, well, this is weird. This article here was published on the 17th, but it was updated on the 16th. So I don't know how that makes sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, he says that the FBI found more weaponization crimes and are close to solving command and funding of Antifa. Like already. This just happened within the last month for sure, I'd say. When was Charlie Kirk assassinated?
September 10th.
September 10th. So it's been
5-6 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah. And then it took a week or two for them to get the first executive order out there on terrorism. Then stuff has been happening since. But he says, yeah, we're on the verge of unmasking the command structure and financing for anarchist groups like Antifa that have unleashed unrest around America, and has also identified potential new criminal activity related to the abuse of federal law enforcement and intelligence. We're looking at so many different leads on criminal activity by those who are in positions of power. We're not going to stop until every single one is fully exposed. I think it's crazy that they're already, like, the story they're telling us is that they just started looking into this and we're already on the verge of unmasking it all. And I think it makes much more sense based on what we've seen over the past 5 years or longer, that they probably already had this stuff already ready to go. And this is just kind of the disclosure of it. And they waited for the opportunity, whatever story, and they kind of took the off ramp going headfirst into the Antifa narrative. When Trump could have done this at any point in the term so far, but no, it was the Charlie Kirk assassination kicked it off, and now we're gonna go after the entire funding of it in a matter of a month. It's nuts.
Yeah, I think that it would actually be dereliction of duty for them not to have tracked all of this earlier. And I think that all of your work is obviously very valid on what was done during the first term. But in that middle period, the devolution term, Kash Patel, we assume, was still working on all of these issues. I mean, he wrote Government Gangsters. He was going on countless news shows and podcasts to talk about what was going on and continue really telling this story so that it stayed front and center for people over that time. You would have to assume that he was still looped in on things or doing his own work at least, or whatever it was. And I think that a lot of people probably had a pretty good idea of the organization and funding and the rest of it. And I'm talking about people in public who spent any time on the issue at all. Like, it was never all that hidden. Like, Antifa and Black Lives Matter were clearly coordinated in their purpose and on all of their events. And, you know, they tried to keep them separate so that Black Lives Matter wouldn't seem like the communist revolutionary organization that it is. But now it just kind of seems like they're not hiding it at all. I mean, there's on that page of logos that you had up. Yeah, there you go. Like CPUSA, like you've got a hammer and sickle on this flyer. Freedom Socialist Party, you know, Democratic Socialists for America. 5051 is basically the new BLM, but these are like legitimately hardcore left-wing groups. And I guess it's good that they're not masking it anymore.
Yeah. It's just nuts. And I wonder if this is in conjunction with kind of the activity that Kash Patel is talking about. Like, hey, we're on the verge of mapping this stuff out. And then all of a sudden we have this No Kings protest. Because when was the last one? It was, it would have been July?
June 14th. Yeah.
It's been a while.
So yeah, 5 months.
Yeah. I don't
4
know.
months. 4 months. 4 months.
This is just also interesting. And then, you know, this probably kind of ties in a little bit too with some of the redistricting, the SCOTUS rulings. And I know you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I spent the time, I had to do a little road trip the other day. So I spent the road trip listening to the SCOTUS arguments on the redistricting stuff. And you know, I had done that for the birthright citizenship thing for the nationwide injunctions earlier in the year. It's kind of fun because, you know, they have to get down to the legal roots of all these issues. And you learn a lot about what our legal system is now. And it's routinely shocking for me, with how either dumb or deceitful the three women that were nominated, who were nominated by Democrats, are. They don't, I'm not sure if they just don't understand like logical reasoning. And that's one of the most shocking things about these arguments routinely, is that you kind of have, it leaves me at least with a different impression about the whole legal system and what it is attorneys do, because their arguments are not at all about the Constitution. We're like levels away from the Constitution. They say constitutional a lot, but you know, as we've talked about many times, what they mean by constitutional is, does it comport to the government as they understand it and run it? Is it in accordance with the way their system operates? And they use, you know, rules and regulations, statutes, court precedent, all of these things to them are part of the constitutional picture. Because if the court has decided at any point that something comports with the Constitution and they're allowed to keep doing it, well, all of a sudden that becomes part of the Constitution in their mind. You know, and I think we played actually the clip from Justice Kagan where she talks about all the law this court has ever made.
Yeah.
Well, the court doesn't make law. So, you know, this case in particular, but all these cases, you notice that they rest entirely on the Reconstruction Amendments, which were the product of the Civil War. You know, we've talked about George P. Fletcher and the Secret Constitution. And there's a number of books written by very prominent academics along those lines. They suggest that our original Constitution was removed and replaced, that they inverted it to change it from a focus on liberty and the rights of the individual in a republic to equality, the good of the state in a democracy. And that's a total reversal of what we are led to understand the founders intended. So all of these arguments rest on those Reconstruction amendments and then on previous court precedent. And none of it is an appeal to the original Constitution, which is the only thing they're supposed to be there for.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I think it was a week or two ago we talked about, was it Clarence Thomas and what his comments about court precedent and how we need to go back and stop like relying on precedent. We need to look at some of these other cases that we use as precedent because they're probably not constitutional in the first place. But with this specific case, it's redistricting, and I don't even know what stake, because I have not listened to it. I've been a little tuned out, and I promised you that this is going to be my last. Actually, I think I promised last week, and this is going to be the last time I was tuned out. But this is now the new last week that I have been tuned out. But they're trying to redistrict Louisiana, correct? Okay, and so
yeah, there was a redistricting, and they're arguing about the map in the new redistricting. They wanted to give Louisiana black voters, this is how they describe it at least, these two districts, even though they are a minority in every district. And at one point, I think it was Kagan, but maybe it was Sotomayor. I think it was Sotomayor, actually. She was like, so if whites are 51% of the population and blacks are 49% of the population, does that mean that blacks will never have their own representative? And it's like, well, hey, what? That doesn't even make sense. Like, why can't a white person represent black people the same way a black person could represent their white constituents? But also, yeah, like that is what that means. It's your democracy. So if 51% of the population chooses to vote on racial lines, and that means that the 49% of the population who don't share their race don't have representation, well, yeah, that's the system you built. And so then what they do is they try to take results like that. You know, this whole thing is based on like election outcomes, which are falsifiable and just, in my mind, totally fake, and population statistics. And then they say, there are these black people in Louisiana. They don't have any black representatives, even though there are Democratic representatives. I can't talk. And so that then is evidence of racism, and it can only be resolved by racially manipulating these districts. It was so far around the bend. I could not believe it. I thought it was actually kind of entertaining, just the sheer nonsense of it.
Yeah, and we can listen to a few clips because I know there's cool. Some in the Badlands brief on the Substack. But honest question, like, what is the point of the districting in general? Like, is that a constitutional thing itself? And this is me having honestly no idea. I'm a little retarded when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, so they divide the space up, and I think initially it was supposed to be 30,000 residents per representative.
Yes,
and so you would basically just get 30,000 here, 30,000 next to it, 30,000 next to that, and divide the whole state up that way. I think that's how it was intended to be. And now we have all the gerrymandering because the parties want to be able to select exactly which voters are going to vote in which elections, which of course is just another manipulation of the system that we're meant to pretend is them solving racism, when all they're trying to do is rig and steal more elections. And, on another level, like, these things are chosen and divided up by the uniparty before the election even happens. So there are just levels of irrelevance to the argument. You can't rely on voting outcomes to detect racism.
That's insane. But yeah, let's listen to a couple of these comments from, where did I have the brief at? Hold for processing. Here we go. So again, Badlands news brief. I'll put this in the chat live here. It's from October 16th. And I think she has like 5 clips here. It's probably worth going through them all. I mean, none of them are terribly long. But this first one, can the government discriminate on the basis of race in providing remedy to discrimination on the basis of race? Turns out it depends. Take a listen.
Race if discrimination has been established under Section 2 and a state determines that it needs a very precise incision of race in order to remedy that Section 2 violation, then Section 2 and this court's precedent supports that.
So a federal district court can sometimes to remedy a Section 2
Well,
violation.
not a federal district. I'm sorry. I'm glad you emphasized that.
If I might just finish the question.
Yes.
Sometimes federal district courts order maps, and you're saying sometimes acceptable for a federal district court to order a map that intentionally discriminates on the basis of race.
I disagree with that formulation. So first and foremost, states and plaintiffs, as they put forth illustrative maps, cannot put forth maps that discriminate and that use race in an excessive.
Oh no!
So now
The only actor has.
What's up?
I was just going to say, you heard her just say they're not allowed to use race in an excessive manner. And so what is excessive? Well, that is a subjective interpretation about whether or not the racism being used to resolve this other racism is enough or too much or whatever. That is a subjective determination. And a lot of the argument was focused around what are our tests to determine racism and whether or not a map is going to fix it and the rest of it. And they're all subjective determinations. And once you're in that land of subjectivity, like the battle's already lost. The principle is don't manipulate political outcomes through the use of discrimination. And I think that that's something that a lot of Americans would actually just agree with. Like, I think that's an idea that would have a mandate behind it. But we're so far away from that idea because we're arguing practical outcomes and subjective interpretations, none of which have to do with that principle.
I agree with you, man. Let's finish this clip real quick and then comment.
Broader leeway are states, because we give states breathing room. We give states wide latitude in order to balance their political interests and concerns.
So federal district courts can't discriminate on the basis of race in remedies, but states can?
Federal district courts can only order maps that are constitutional. And again, the constitutional
Maps that are constitutional?
boundaries are between Jingles and Shaw, which sometimes permits
states
race.
have more breathing room. So do they have the breathing room to intentionally discriminate on the basis of race?
They don't have breathing room to intentionally discriminate on the basis of race. They have breathing room to use race to remedy their own discrimination.
Thank you.
What?
Justice Kavanaugh?
Yeah. So they have to prove their discrimination by these subjective standards and by these practical outcomes that are all statistics that are unreliable. And as soon as they've determined that race was only used in figuring out whether or not discrimination was present, and then after that, the discrimination is for the purpose of resolving it, so it doesn't count.
But it's still based on race. That's insane. If you're thinking that's racist, you're wrong. And Justice Jackson wants you to trust her about that.
SFFA, states can remedy intentional.
No, I'm not talking about the remedy. I'm talking about
identify.
Identify. All right. So if I'm right, that Section 2 is about identifying the problem and then requiring some remedy. I don't understand why your answer to Justice Kagan's question about is this a compelling state interest is no. The answer is obviously yes, that you have an interest in remedying the effects of racial discrimination that we identify using this tool. Whether you go too far in your remedy is another issue, right?
Your Honor, I think step zero in all of these cases, it was certainly step zero in the Robinson litigation, is the plaintiffs came in and said, we want another majority black district.
I thought they came in and said, we are not receiving equal electoral opportunity because our votes are being diluted.
Which is the same way of saying we deserve a second.
No, it's not, because that, again, just trust me on this. The second electoral or second district is a remedy that one could offer for a problem that we've identified. And the whole Robinson litigation was about identifying the problem. Is this really happening? In many, many Section 2 cases, the court says, you're wrong, you're fine. There is not an electoral opportunity being denied to you, go away. In this case, the court said, I see, I'm looking at the factors, I appreciate what you're saying, you've proven that we have this problem. And so the next question is, how do we go about remedying it?
Right, and the problem, Justice Justice Jackson, that the Middle District identified was not intentional discrimination. And in fact, I think
Why
when
do
I
you
hear
need
my
intentional discrimination to remedy a problem like the one that identified?
because if you're going to use race the way that the Robinson appellants want the court to use race in drawing a second majority minority district, you've got to have a compelling interest.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Chief Justice.
Thank you.
I'm just dumbfounded. How is this person still on the court? Like, if we don't address the 2020 election and the fact that this lady was not legitimately nominated to the Supreme Court, she's so stupid, dude.
Yeah. It's pretty bad. And we're going to get the auto pen excuse rather than hearing about Joe Biden's illegitimacy, and then she'll be off the court. But the problem is, like, to a significant degree, the Supreme Court is outside the bounds of the Constitution already. Like, its own legitimacy is at stake with all of these arguments and all of these cases. And it's funny, I actually didn't spend much time going through it, but I saw this video, the Instagram thing I just sent you, about the court like losing funding because of the shutdown. And if the Supreme Court like has to close for some period of time,
I don't think this is
all
true,
just so strange right now.
I think I looked into this. Let me play the clip here.
Yeah. I haven't vetted this, just to be clear with the audience.
Plan to visit the court. You're probably going to have to cancel that at least until Congress can reach a deal on the government shutdown. We got a notice today from the court that they run out of funding tomorrow. It doesn't mean everything stops, but it does mean that they will cease being open to the public. You can see something called the Anti-Deficiency Act kicks in, which basically calls in all necessary protocols, but nothing more. So the Supreme Court building itself, which is typically open for tours, even when oral arguments aren't happening, will be shut down. Now, what happens with the work of the court? That doesn't stop. The interim/emergency docket will still continue throughout the month, likely will keep up at the clip that it has been. In fact, we're done with the October sitting for oral arguments this month. So the court is not set to be in person for oral argument on the bench until November 3rd. So perhaps some hope that there can be a deal reached by then so that people can begin attending oral arguments when the November sitting happens. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
I mean, okay, so my understanding of this is that they have their own like separate budget. And so what she said is, I think, is accurate. It's like, okay, yeah, you can't have public come in, but they're still going to keep doing the stuff they're normally doing. Back during the 2018 shutdown, I think there were some like civil cases that were delayed, but the court itself like remained operable. And I loved how she framed it, like if they can come to an agreement or a deal or whatever to open it back up. So stupid. I can't believe we're still we're still in the middle of this shutdown and talking about it as if it fucking matters. You know what I mean? It's so stupid.
But I mean, that's kind of what we talked about when the shutdown was beginning. Like, let's just watch this thing continue. And it's great that it's continued this far. I don't think that, I mean, it seems like nobody even cares at this point. Like the public narrative about it, they use it to score political points. I can't believe Donald Trump is sending $20 billion to Argentina while he can't even fund his own government. Like, okay.
It's absurd.
Yeah, but let it keep going. I guess I didn't watch this. I actually don't even know if it happened yet, but I saw the advertisement that Hakeem Jeffries and Mike Johnson were going to have a debate about the shutdown, like a public debate.
Oh, I thought he challenged Johnson to that like 2 weeks ago, and Johnson was like, no. But are they going to do it now?
I saw something about it the other day, and another thing that I did not track down.
No
but
way.
Because it's like that's one of those things that's just kind of irrelevant. But
yeah, let me see if I can
now it
find
comes
that.
up in conversation. So yeah,
that'd be funny. It would be hysterical to watch them actually debate, but I can't imagine they'd actually do it.
I don't know. Maybe they would get some view. They had that thing on CNN the other night with Bernie Sanders and AOC.
Yeah, that was stupid too. Yeah, I don't see anything out here about a debate, but anyway, there's a couple more. There's one more video I wanted to play. I wanted to play the video where she calls black people disabled. This one.
I guess I'm thinking of it, of the fact that remedial action, absent discriminatory intent, is really not a new idea. in the civil rights laws. And my kind of paradigmatic example of this is something like the ADA. Congress passed the Americans with Disabilities Act against the backdrop of a world that was generally not accessible to people with disabilities. And so it was discriminatory in effect because these folks were not able to access these buildings. And it didn't matter whether the person who built the building or the person who owned the building intended for them to be exclusionary. That's irrelevant. Congress said the facilities have to be made equally open to people with disabilities if readily possible. I guess I don't understand why that's not what's happening here. The idea in Section 2 is that we are responding to current day manifestations of past and present decisions that disadvantage minorities and make it so that they don't have equal access to the voting system, right? They're disabled. In fact, we use the word disable in Milligan. We say that's a way in which you see that these processes are not equally open.
There you have it. They're disabled. She said
So,
it, not me.
and think about the leap right there to suggest that the process isn't open because a minority community cannot get minorities elected. And first of all, that's not even true because minorities get elected all over the place. Barack Obama was called the president for 8 years.
Yeah.
So that's not a real thing. And the crazy lady who was in the fake campaign last year was a minority. So the representation
You're talking about Kamala?
is nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, she's been doing interviews lately and appearances, and she just keeps going.
I don't get why. Like, why are they rolling her out like this? I don't think it helps their case at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she could be our boy Kamala.
Our boy Kamala. Speaking of that, we got to talk about Zelensky and Putin yet.
Yeah, but wait, hold on. I got to show you this Kamala thing. I don't know if you saw it. Here is Kamala. Oh gosh, come on. I had to set my computer up again, and it has been a bit of a disaster. All my stuff is where it's not supposed to be. Instead, it's in other places.
Well, you're looking for that. There's this of Kamala talking about the No Kings protest.
Oh gosh.
Hey everybody. So in our country, the power is with the people. And tomorrow, I encourage everyone to get out there in peaceful protest of what is happening in our country and express our voice around the country we believe in. So get out there and join the No Kings event near you. And please take care. I'll see you later.
Wow, she didn't laugh.
Yeah. Which means business.
Done, and the fact that I was elected district attorney for 2 terms as the first woman elected attorney general of the state of California, ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice. I was the United States Senator, second black woman elected in the history of the United States Senate, and I was the first woman vice president of the United States. So there are.
Why does her voice sound like that? I was a person like that. I'm not.
Could be drunk.
I hope that's her excuse.
Things that I needed to make sure that people knew.
That is a decent resume. But go ahead.
But there. Well, some people have actually said I was the most qualified candidate ever to run for president.
No.
I like the some people say. Very nice, but go ahead.
I'm just speaking fact.
Yeah.
But for example, I
Unbelievable.
There's a way in which she's kind of right. I mean, by their standards of qualification, it's just credentialism, right? So she has these titles from these significant institutions, significant regime institutions, her colleges, those different political roles that she's had, the fact that she is an ethnic minority woman, that's like part of her credentials. So with all those things, I mean, she's as qualified as anyone who's ever ran with the exception of maybe Barack Obama.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. When it comes down to everything is about your race and your credentials, she was the perfect candidate for them. And they still lost. Still couldn't steal that election. But let's talk a little bit. So now we got about 20 minutes left of how long we wanted this recording to be. And I think we got to talk about the Peace 2025. It's the year of peace here in the United States, as declared, or here in the world, as declared by Donald Trump. And Thursday, I think it was Thursday, right? The 16th? Yeah. Trump posted this on True Social. We already knew that Zelensky was coming to the White House. And then he's like, okay, well, I got this call. I'm speaking to President Putin right now. The conversation is ongoing. It's a lengthy one. And I will report the contents, as will President Putin, at its conclusion. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And then he follows that up with, here we go. The post of describing his call. And I think it's worth reading. This was an interesting one to me. I've just concluded my telephone conversation with President Vladimir Putin of Russia, and it was a very productive one. He doesn't call it a perfect one. He just calls it a productive one. President Putin congratulated me and the United States on the great accomplishment of peace in the Middle East, something that he said has been dreamed of for centuries. I actually believe that the success in the Middle East will help in our negotiation in attaining an end to the war with Russia and Ukraine. And I just want to side note, I think it's funny that what the left and the mainstream media and pretty much everybody has painted Putin as is like this evil warmonger who, if we don't stop him in Ukraine, he's going to take over the entire world. Yet Trump is saying that he congratulated him about peace in the Middle East. It's like, what kind of warmonger is going to congratulate somebody over peace? You know what I mean? So I just thought that was funny. Anyway, President Putin thanked the First Lady Melania for her involvement with the children. He was very appreciative and said that this will continue. We also spent a great deal of time talking about trade between Russia and the United States when the war with Ukraine is over. Because that's what a lot of people do, I guess, is before you even end the wars, discuss trade on the other side of it. At the conclusion of the call, we agreed that there will be a meeting of our high-level advisors next week. The United States initial meetings will be led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, together with various other people to be designated. A meeting location is to be determined. President Putin and I will then meet in an agreed-upon location, Budapest, Hungary, to see if we can bring this inglorious war between Russia and Ukraine to an end. All I could think of is inglorious bastards. President Zelensky and I will be meeting tomorrow in the Oval Office, where we will discuss my conversation with President Putin and much more. I believe great progress was made with today's phone conversation. See, what do you think, man?
The inglorious thing, I think you're right to pick up on that. And, I know Burning Bright was posting about it this week and whatnot. Inglorious Bastards is a movie about Nazis. And Putin's justification, one of the justifications for the special military operation, aka the very brutal invasion, was to denazify Ukraine. And so we're right in the thick of that. So it's I mean, did Trump mean to do that? It's good comms if he did. Like, I don't mean comms like secret language. I mean, like, this is good public communication strategy. Yeah. So you got to think that that's something in there. The trade thing, I think you're right to pick up on that too. These deals, and we've talked about the China trade deal, that is largely what they were setting out to do back in the first term. I think a lot of this stuff is just, we've talked a million times about this. I don't even know if it needs to be repeated at this point, but that this stuff is done and dusted, and we're just watching a narrative rollout of some of these things so that the public is paying attention and able to operate at the pace that this disclosure is happening.
Yeah, I mean, especially the trade thing. I said this on my show, I think it was Thursday when this came out, or maybe it was Friday, I don't remember. But to me, it's kind of absurd to think that like two sides that are in conflict with each other haven't even agreed to how they're going to end the war, but they're already talking trade on the other side of it. But that's the story we're being told here. It's like, is Israel and Hamas, were they talking trade after the war before they even like stopped that? Or is it doesn't make sense. So I think it's little subtle things like that. And the congratulations for the peace when it's from this warmonger. It's, I don't know, the who Putin is to Trump and who he actually is to the United States is not what he's being presented as by everybody else. And I think that's what's made more obvious with this post than anything.
Yeah.
But then,
and we've seen that a number of times too. And we're seeing it more with other leaders as well. And just quickly, if Trump's making trade deals, it's very unlikely that he's also sending long-range missiles to attack Russia. That's not like a leverage play he's making. Like, do fair and balanced trade with us, or we're going to let these little gremlins blow you up.
Yeah, it's so true. So true. I didn't see any of Zelensky's meeting with Trump at the White House. Not gonna lie, I did see the post about it afterwards, but I don't know if there were any clips that you specifically wanted to share from that meeting.
There's a couple. This is the one about the tunnel that is being discussed.
I just heard about it. A tunnel from Russia to Alaska. I just heard about that one. That's an interesting one. We'll have to think about that. I hadn't heard that. We just did a nice road in Alaska that's going to get us to a lot of minerals, and we have a piece of it, a good piece of the ownership because of the fact we made it possible. But this came up yesterday, a tunnel from Russia to Alaska. That's an interesting. What do you think of that, Mr. President? Do you have any ideas? How do you like that idea?
I'm not happy with this.
I don't think you're going to like it. I don't think he liked it. I don't think he liked it.
That's funny. Did you see this that came out? I think CanCon tagged me, or we talked about this during the exclusive ticket holder stream that we did 2 days ago, and apparently this came out of the Kennedy files, and it talked about a road, Kennedy Khrushchev World Peace Bridge. Could and should be built between Alaska and Russia at once. So way back when. But instead of a bridge, maybe it's a tunnel.
Yeah. The Kennedy and Russia stuff strikes me as really interesting because we hear about, Israeli involvement in the Kennedy assassination and the rest of that because, he wasn't going to give them nukes or something. I don't know exactly how that story goes. And maybe there's something to it. I don't know. But I kind of doubt it. And the joining of the United States and Russia is something that has actually happened at different points in history. And there's a lot of people that say Russians are very much like Americans in terms of, the drive not to have other countries and these other peoples telling you what to do. And so to connect these two global superpowers that could then be in opposition to the regime and avoid the whole Atlantic thing, man, that's a big deal. Like the strongest countries combining in an anti-regime effort, that's like their worst nightmare. I can imagine a president getting killed over that.
Oh, totally. And Alaska used to be owned by Russia. Like, it used to be Russian territory. And so, I mean, that connection is going to happen at some point. I want to play this clip. This is there's two clips that were posted to the Rapid Response site that I think might be worth playing. This is the first one.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor to be with a very strong leader, a man who has been through a lot, and a man who I've gotten to know very well, and we've gotten along really very well. And we had a big call yesterday, as you know, with President Putin, and we'll be talking about it. President Zelensky of Ukraine has endured a lot. I mean, he really has. He's endured a lot, and we've endured it with him. To be honest, it's been a long time, and I think we're making great progress. So we're going to be talking about that today. We'll be talking about what took place yesterday with my phone call with President Putin, and I think that things are coming along pretty well. It began with Alaska, where I think certain guidelines were discussed, and we want to see if we can get this done. This was long ago into the Biden administration. I came here and we inherited this, and we'd like to see if we could finish it, end it. We want it ended. So many people have died in this war, and we're gonna get it ended. So
gonna get it ended, even though we didn't talk about it for like a month and a half because he's too busy with other stuff. And then here's talking about the meeting between Zelensky and Putin. Unless there's anything you wanted to.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
To be determined, but I would say most likely it's going to be a double meeting. It'll be a double meeting, but we will have the president, Zelensky, in touch. There's a lot of bad blood with the two presidents. And I'm not speaking out of turn when I say it. It's a very difficult situation. You know, we just settled the war, and after thousands of years, I guess, people say anywhere from 500 to 3,000 years. And I was in rooms, as you saw, because you were with me, a lot of you were with me last week, with leaders that didn't like each other, but they were able to get along. These two leaders do not like each other, and we want to make it comfortable for everybody. So one way or the other, we'll be involved in threes, but it may be separated. To be determined, but
what I think is interesting about that is so these two leaders don't like each other, right? Putin's not going anywhere. Like he is not going anywhere, but Zelensky, his role in this negotiation, and this is something we've talked about before too, I don't think it's guaranteed. Both Putin and Trump at some point, multiple times over the past 8 months, have talked about, well, maybe we just need to pause things, hold an election, and get Zelensky out of there. Then whoever ends up being elected can sign the peace deal on the flip side of it. So if these two don't like each other, and that's the reason that the peace deal is not being done, well, the way you solve that is removing one of those people, the one that you can, and maybe that'll still happen. I kind of hope it does.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. The idea that Trump and Putin and world peace are dependent on the comedic actor from Ukraine sounds crazy to me.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah,
absurd.
I don't know what to make of that. We talked about Venezuela last week, and Trump did one of his famous F-bombs last night. I guess this is the new kinetic warfare. It's just the F-bomb.
Let's do it.
Everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What should we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
They did the GOP establishment and the media did a bunch of anti-Venezuela stuff toward the end of the week because there was reporting that the CIA that Trump had given them approval to run operations there. And he's been asked about it in interviews and has gone along with it. I don't know what kind of operations he would be directing with the CIA in Venezuela. You know, they frame it as though this is all part of some regime overthrow operation. And there's even some kind of argument that it aligns with the Monroe Doctrine that, you know, hemispheric defense is the responsibility of the United States. So they need to get rid of this guy. I cannot imagine that is what Donald Trump is intending. There's nothing America first about going around trying to depose foreign leaders. And I saw Rick Scott on Fox News the other day talking about how Maduro is not the legitimate leader and that he lost an election last year. No, he didn't. We've talked about that. The proof that he lost that election is exit polling from Edison Research, an American firm, exit polling, which is, nothing. That's just a made up story. Hey, these 10 people said that they voted for Edmundo Gonzalez, I think it's Urrutia or something like that, Urrutia. And only 2 people said they voted for Maduro. Therefore, it's an overwhelming win for Edmundo Gonzalez. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
And then the opposition had a pile of what are essentially voting receipts that they showed. Well, these are of such a proportion that it suggests Maduro lost. All of that is nonsense.
When did they hold their election?
I think it was, I want to say it was last October, but it could be a few months before that, maybe last summer.
Okay, I was going to say that was a while ago. The whole CIA covert ops stuff it's interesting. Trump's stance towards Venezuela and the drug cartels is interesting. I'm looking forward to the SCOTUS rulings to see the challenge to, his war powers and all that and the authority. They just bombed another boat. There were survivors, but that was a boat we didn't even hear about. There are 2 survivors that they have in captivity now, and they're not sure what they're going to do with or something. So I thought that was interesting framing. But Trump talked about let's see, I think this was the clip he mentioned. I think it's
that was in a submarine, right? We attacked a submarine, and that was a drug carrying submarine built specifically for the transportation of massive amounts of drugs. Just so you understand, this was not an innocent group of people. I don't know too many people that have submarines. And that was an attack on a drug-carrying, loaded-up submarine.
Isn't there rumors about like some of the human trafficking being done through some submarines?
Yeah, and apparently, I think it was Ghislaine Maxwell who has her submarine pilot's license or something. I don't know how that operates.
Oh, that's
how that
right.
works, but I think that there was something about that. That's not really my area.
Yeah, mine either. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting comment that he made. What kind of, normal person has a submarine? Maybe Badlands needs a submarine.
That'd be pretty cool. I don't know what we would do with it though.
Just say we have one.
Yeah, just go down there and look around, see what's happening down by the seafloor. I mean, that submarine, we had the submarine story a couple of years ago, that private submarine that
oh yeah, that's right.
Didn't it like blow
Exploded.
up or something? Yeah.
The Titan submersible or whatever.
Yeah.
That
I mean,
was funny.
It's a horrific tragedy that we should not laugh at.
Well, it was kind of funny though. Like the whole situation generally.
Yeah.
Like there's been some good spoof videos making fun of that, which I think are funny. People dying is not funny though. You're right.
That's right. Yeah. But I mean, who knows if any of that even happened? I would never suggest that I believe that story, but it was quite a tale. The Venezuela thing is so interesting because when people hear Trump use that language, talking about Maduro, saying he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States, Maduro has taken a pretty Trump positive or Trump neutral stance for the entire time. He blames Joe Biden for Tren de Aragua coming into the United States, blamed him for the problems with the drug cartels and the rest of it. And it's, it doesn't make any sense other than the same framing that we've seen, I think. Like, I think all this stuff is just provably, obviously, the way we describe it with these other foreign leaders. There's clearly something else going on that the news media has no interest in telling us. Because if we know that the world operates a different way, their entire narrative strategy breaks down. The idea that we are at war with China in, economic warfare or trade warfare with China. And Trump says that, and there is an element, there's a way to see that as true because there are different factions in China, just as there are in Russia, just as there are in North Korea, just as there are in Saudi or anywhere else. And of course, that's also true in Venezuela. And we have seen those two factions operate. Now, Trump often aligns with those, but that's not going to be how the situation turns out. And listen, I would not say that Maduro will definitely not be deposed, but that would then just be a story element like Bashar al-Assad being deposed and al-Sharaf being installed in his place. Well, there are certain things they need to do, narratively speaking, in the relationships with these two countries in order to resolve those relationships. And they're going to put the face of that project in whatever form it needs to be, right? Mm-hmm. Joe Biden was a necessary face of the 4 years that we have concluded. Lula was the same thing down in Venezuela. And I think you can see, again, that pattern all over the world in these issues. So, when Trump talks about little rocket man and stuff, everybody was like, oh, Trump hates Kim Jong-un. They're going to be at war. Well, that's not true. And it also wasn't true when he said it. That just seems like a narrative manipulation. This seems the same way.
Yeah, didn't the Syria guy, he fled to Russia, right, after he kind of got overthrown?
Yep.
And then the new Syria guy just met with Putin in Russia, just this week.
Yeah. And that guy was like former ISIS or former Al-Qaeda or whatever. And what does that mean? Well, that means he was a Middle Eastern intelligence asset. That's as far as I ever get with that stuff. Like the idea that he is some militant Islamist who signed up for that group, like just all organic the way it's presented to us. It like reminds me of how they tried to tell us that COVID like came from a bat cave. Like, of course you have to say that all of this is naturally occurring. Otherwise, assigning responsibility for its occurrence, well, that would go directly to them and they can't have that. So, the idea that he was just a natural terrorist who has risen to depose a Middle Eastern dictator and take over, all of that is just so nonsensical.
Yep, totally agree. Anyway, man, I think that's unless there's anything else you can think of, that's about all.
No, not really. I do want to say congratulations to you for the move that was made last night. I think it's important. I'm very happy that people kind of have a better framing of what's been going on for the last few years, honestly, because kind of the anti-Badlands efforts started right out of the gate, and they've continued. And for whatever reason, they always take the form of anti-Jon Herold attacks. And that stuff, just for myself, is infuriating because you've been a great friend to me. I know how hard you work. I know how smart you are. I know the diligence in the work you're putting out there. And you really have to wonder, specifically because the attacks are coming from the so-called truth community, what it is about devolution in particular that these people find so threatening. If it was like hardcore leftists who were not, they'll call us conspiracy theorists and just move on. But at least you could understand why the idea that Trump was doing something in coordination with the military in the background, in a constitutional manner, in a way that has been disclosed to the American public. That's the sort of thing you could understand being really upsetting for them. But the idea from quote unquote our side, which it's, they've clearly proven themselves not to be. The idea that it's coming from there, I think, has always just been so insane. Like, what is it about devolution that makes Q people, for instance, upset? Like, I don't even think that those are in conflict. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just glad that that's out there and that your side of the story is being told a little bit. Because I think that a lot of people in our audience kind of detected that on their own and were able to reach those conclusions themselves, and thank goodness. But man, there were a lot of people who, for social incentives, and then, obviously some of the people involved for only monetary incentives, they decided to do something that they know was wrong. Like all the people who have been silent and all the people who have piled in, from former members and stuff, like the idea that they didn't know the entire time what was going on and just remained silent. So, I hope that people take that for what it's worth, especially from these people who spend their time telling, repeating Q phrases like where we go one and we go all, and be careful who you follow. So
I appreciate that, man. I'm probably going to refrain from commenting since the court stuff is still ongoing, but I appreciate you saying all that stuff. You have a great rest of your day, man, at your undisclosed location with your later undisclosed activities. And I'll see you next time.
All right.
All right. There you have it, guys. That was our recording. And yeah, Chris is great. Appreciate what he said there at the end. But as I said earlier, I'm going to try my best to move on, not get back in the mud again. So if you're curious about what's going on, if you want the context, go watch the video from last night. It's on our Rumble. But what else is going on? I realized I just texted Chris. This episode that you're currently watching is the 399th episode of the Devolution Power Hour, which is insane. But Wednesday would be our 400th episode. So Chris is going to join me and Bernie Bright on Wednesday's show. And I don't know what we're going to do, but we'll try to make it a little extra special since it'll be the 400th episode. That's just mind-blowing. 400 episodes. Been doing it that long. And that's just this show. I have so many different other shows too. But anyway, let's go through some rants, see what you guys have been saying in there. And I don't know. Got a good crowd tonight, guys. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And no, before I even do the rants, got to give a big shout out to Annie from Willow Wind Farms. She's awesome. She's a hard worker. She takes such great pride in the products that she puts out. And I am just honored that she asked to do our product line. We could not be luckier. You guys if you haven't gotten any soft disclosure yet, I highly encourage you to get some. Not only are you supporting Badlands, not only are you getting awesome products from an awesome person, but you're also supporting that awesome person in Annie at Willow Wind Farms. Get yourself some soft disclosure, softdisclosure.com. It is Black people approved.
They say confidence starts with a smooth skin. And baby, soft disclosure lotion delivers.
I swear by this stuff. Like, I kid you guys not. This is the first lotion I've ever had in my entire life that, like, I don't get ashy after I put it on any part of my body. Like, my hands are always dry, and my hands have not gotten ashy without, like, rinsing them through water and washing them with soap since I started putting soft disclosure on. Like, it is Black man approved. I kid you not.
Black man approved. You heard him. And let's be real. If it can handle his hands, it can handle anything.
Feet are like, they get so dry, like the heels of them, it'll just kind of like flake off. Like, but with soft disclosure, once you put it on, like it starts to absorb it.
Yeah, he went there. Don't worry, we won't show you his feet, but trust us, they're smoother too. Soft disclosure lotion is made with aloe, goat's milk, honey, and our exclusive oil blend that actually restores your skin barrier. Visit softdisclosure.com, use code BADLANDS, and get 15% off.
Yeah, Ash was at the alpaca farm yesterday. She sexually assaulted my alpaca. Bernie Brights wasn't into females and ran away from her. So no surprise there, though. I think she made some products. I'm not really sure what she did, other than the sexual assault of my alpaca. And yeah, so maybe we'll get videos. We know she's going down there for who knows what. But that'll be fun. Probably on Next Onlylands. Next Onlylands will actually do an Onlylands. We'll save part 2 for someday in the future. Cam Cooksey. Oh, yeah, I need to get you some more. Make sure you talk to Cheryl, Cam. We could probably give you a little discount on that. But let's pull up the rants. If I can figure out how to share that screen here. Alrighty. Let's see what we're working with. You guys have been busy tonight. Awesome. Soof84 getting the party started for $100. So glad for Badlands keeping it sane. That is an awesome rant. And you know what? Before I go on with the rest of the rants, I should probably check for boosts too before I forget. And again, I did see all the boosts last night and some of the other ones that have come through. I'll read the ones that have to do with the Power Hour, and as long as they don't say anything about the situation, I'll definitely read it. We have a few here that have come through. Pastor Darian, Debbie Nagel. John, thank you for the boost. I don't think I can read that one, but thank you so much for the boost and your continued support for $100. Lionheart 7777. Gentlemen, I'm sure you'll be probably covering Bolton nonsense tonight, but I believe he's in some very big trouble. On a side note, Trump commuted Santos. What a great move. God bless. The Santos thing is definitely interesting. I just briefly caught wind of that. He's such a character, and the way he interacted on some of the Twitter spaces was just weird. But he also, I don't know, I'm gonna have to look into that a little more. The Bolton thing, I read through the entire indictment. It's pretty milquetoast. Like, the dude had classified documents. He said he returned them, but he didn't. He got hacked by Iran when he wasn't supposed to have any classified documents, and he was giving them to his sister and I think his wife and his daughter or something. Everybody's freaking out saying Mike Pence is involved or implicated. I have not seen any evidence of that. And maybe there's a separate undisclosed location that somehow connects Bolton to Pence or Pence to Bolton, whatever. But nothing publicized as of this moment has shown that. So yeah, he's in trouble. Bolton's in trouble, as he should be. That mustache is ridiculous. They should need to check that for classified documents. Butters set for $108. Wow. You guys have been incredibly generous these last couple of days, and I truly appreciate it. Well played, John. Truth is a force unto itself. Union Mary Banner living up to the great name Badlands. Congratulations on 3 years. Thank you. And then 1027 JS, my fellow North Dakotan, says, appreciate your analysis of the news. Thank you, Joe. Pilot Bryce says, ladies and gentlemen around the world, this is the Power Hour we have all been waiting for. Yes, it's the name of the platform, but let's get ready to rumble. Apologies, we didn't do most of it live, Probably would have been a fun one too. But Wednesdays will make it extra fun, considering it'll be the 400th episode. Keith Higgins, make sure you have class before filing class action. Thank you, Keith. Denise Anna, pray for all you Badlanders. Wish I could help contribute more. You guys, just prayers and thumbs up and watching, sharing around. It's all we can ask. Nobody's forced to give us anything. Everything is free. It's all, none of it's behind a paywall. So don't apologize for that. And then I was supposed to participate in the Charlie Kirk caravan today, but we were expecting severe thunderstorms, so we postponed it tomorrow. Our route would have gone right by the No Kings protest a few times. Yeah, apparently we had a No Kings protest even here in Bismarck, and there's like 100 some people there, which based on the videos I saw would have beat out like some of the ones out of Texas and some of these bigger states. I thought that was weird. But we do have the pockets of staunch liberals. They're everywhere, even in cold weather. Mateo 127 for $50. Thank you, Mateo. John, if you were Leonidas 300, I will follow you into battle. For what you have created, Badlands. We all have your 6. I'd like to still live, though. Thank you, John. I think I would too. I'd prefer to make it through the other side of this. I don't know if I'm deserving of being called Leonidas either, but I appreciate the sentiment. Keith Higgins, with Prince Andrew resigning from his royal duties, wouldn't it be No Prince's Day? See what you did there, touche. The final demand every protest in New Hampshire is nothing but old people, 60 plus. They've been drinking the Mockingbird Kool-Aid for the longest, so it makes sense why they're so crazy and truly believe in the bullshit. Yeah, I mean, you think about these people. They've been watching CNN or whatever news channel, MSNBC, for 40, 50 years. And it's just slowly their mind has been warped. And so what they actually believed in, the values they probably no longer have, clearly, they've been so manipulated. And it's, I mean, as we can all see, it's pretty easy to be manipulated when people know what they're doing. There are certain triggers they use. Sometimes it's trauma. Sometimes it's tears. Sometimes it's fear. People can be manipulated and show up to No Kings protests. But yeah, the demographics of that was just nuts. JD Brem for $100 says, love Badlands. Thank you, JD. That's a very generous rant, and we love you right back. James Claim says, even when I don't always agree with you, I know you're coming from a good place and always will support you. Keep this going. Thank you, James. And yeah, guys, disagreement is good. We all should disagree. It's the respectful disagreement. That's like what the driving force behind Badlands is. Like you should see our chat group. It gets heated sometimes. And that's when it's the most fun, honestly. It's the most fun when CanCon starts drinking a little wine and starts getting wrong about a lot of stuff. And I have to, put him in his place. Not like put him in his place with information. You know what I mean? Or when Ash and G-Money go at it verbally. Those are the best. It's the best. It makes us that much stronger. It makes our ideas stronger. And it helps CanCon learn things sometimes. So it's good stuff. Disagreement is good. We need it. And just because somebody disagrees with you does not mean they're a bad person. Unless they try to subvert your company or something. Tamara S., much love and respect to everyone who is part of the Badlands family. John, thank you for bringing all these wonderful people together. God bless you all. Thank you, Tamara. Sleep State, Chris made a good point. How the deep state would have been upset with JFK if he had ended the Cold War by building a Bering Strait tunnel. That makes the Brits the main suspects in the JFK murder. Wouldn't that also make our own CIA the main suspects? Weren't they profiting off the Cold War themselves? Pilot Bryce, fuck that dude. Roll in the mud for a bit. We are here for you in the show. Oh, was there a troll? I did remove one troll. Anyway, Peyton Pooh. I like that name there. APL must happen. We got your 6. I can do a little APL for you. Appreciate that. And then we got Miss Rhea Freedom Fighter. Good to see you. I can appreciate that you don't want to read the rants on air from last night, but I hope you read them. Lots of love to you and all the Badlands family. I do have them. I'm going to read them eventually. That wasn't easy for me to do. It's not easy for me to read any of this stuff, even the good stuff. I like to be neutral. I like to be even keel. And I appreciate the kind words. But I think for me, to operate, and the best way to operate is to not get too high, too low, too anything. I just want to keep plugging away. I want to remove the distractions from the back of Badlands so that we can all just keep building what we're trying to build here without, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it's going to be like this forever. Maybe we will always have people trying to drag us down. And if anything, that proves to us that we're doing the right thing. We're building something special. But I mean, I didn't start it thinking it was going to be easy. You know, it's never been easy. So we're prepared for whatever. And we'll just keep plugging away, doing our thing. But I will read those when I'm in a better headspace. Maybe tomorrow after, well, not after the narrative, because I definitely won't be in a better headspace then. Maybe before the narrative. So that, yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll read it before the narrative tomorrow. Pilot Bryce, BB, you better make tomorrow's episode about some Anon podcaster shit so we can make it rain in celebration on this shit that just went down. He did tell me that he was gonna, what did he say he's gonna name the episode? Hold on, let me find this because it was actually kind of funny. He said, I'm naming tomorrow's night's narrative Unity and nothing you can do about it, John. So BB will BB. Funky Joe Medina says, thank you. Thank you. Not surprised. 42. You rock, John. Your loyal team and Badlands community have kept me sane, or maybe crazy, since before Badlands started. I'm here for the long haul. Appreciate you all. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Sean Silvas. But he left on his own accord. Don't plan on bringing him back. J Drake 83, Godspeed to you, John. Truth is the infinite player. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you, John Drake. Before the narrative tomorrow, it's kind of cool. Sundays has turned into a little action-packed day for us. We got John Drake's No Treason podcast, and then right after that is the narrative, and then right after that is that new Q After Dark show with Alpha, Josh, and Brad, which that's going to be a great show. It already is a great show. So Sundays, we're filling the calendar for you guys on Sundays too. Elise, congratulations on episode 399. Crazy, still crazy. Thank you so much. Another 179, or sorry, D Hun 78. John, we've got your back in prayer. Thank you, D Hun. Another 179 for just puts period. Thank you. Lynn Yoda, thanks for all you do. You and Badlands are the best. And check your messages. I've, as you can imagine, I've gotten a lot of them the last 24 hours or so. It was my daughter's birthday party today. Wanted to focus on that. I have seen some. I will respond to most. Try to do them all. It's just a lot going on, but I'll do my best, guys. So thank you. Keith Hogan, some ideas for GART games. John's turtle wrestling gravity, Alpha's dildo baton relay, and then Ash's alpaca clean and jerk contest. Where do you come up with these, Keith? Like I said, we need to get a book of all the rants that you have given over the years. Brudder Mart 71. Cavaltra turned me on to Badlands and DPH years ago. Been a faithful follower ever since. Keep up the amazing work, and we have your back. Thank you, Brudder Mart. Yeah, I appreciate the people that started with us at the beginning, the people who got turned on to us later. You guys have just all been great. And then Pilot Bryce, you said I'm not going to get into the mud about that topic. I meant to roll around in that mud, dude. We are all here for you and want to hear your take, but if it's detrimental to you, then don't. Yeah, that's kind of my point. Like, I obviously I scripted that whole thing out last night, put together lots of our actual counterclaim, and then I asked my attorneys, like, is this okay? Like, what should I change? What should I, and we made some small tweaks, but we got the approval. Like they said it was okay to go, and yeah, that's why I don't want to say anything that could be used against me in any way. Not that I'm worried I would. Like ultimately at the end of the day, they said, truth is an absolute defense. So they weren't too concerned in the first place. But yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to prevent any of the hosts from doing that, although I think it's best for everybody to just move on. We gave you our context. We gave you understanding of what's been going on with that situation, with other people in the community. And you know, for now at least, some of the puzzle pieces. We gave you as many puzzle pieces as we could, and hopefully you can kind of see the picture. We can't give you the rest of the puzzle pieces until this is over, likely. Micro Toolmaker for $55. Where we go one, we go all. Thank you for the rant, sir. But yeah, what else should I talk about? Anything? I'm here. We still got a good crowd. We got like 16,000. Should you guys hit that thumbs up? Cece was finally gifted a subscription. Nice to see my girlfriend become a subscriber to my show. Flaming Red Patriot, John, I found you when you had 50 followers. So I feel like a very proud mama. Growth has been glorious to watch. Thank you. By the way, guys, get your tickets. Come to Cocoa Beach. Come hang out with us. Come hang out with us in person. Let's party a little bit. I need to let off some steam. I think I'm going to do it at Cocoa Beach. You can all be there for it. Come hang out. Badlandsmedia.tv/events. Talk about Trump's truth post. We all need a good laugh. Which one? Did he do something recent? Let me check out his timeline. This will be the longest government shutdown ever. That must not be it. Most badass Trump. I think we've seen that. Is this one?
Yo soy Georgia. Soy una mujer. Soy una madre. Soy italiana. Soy cristiana. No me lo pueden quitar.
I mean, no offense to her. I don't even know who that is. Whatever her name is. I guess anybody can try to look cool with the right music. I'll say that. Crowd explodes in applause after Trump destroys liberal reporter over race baiting question. This is an oldie. This is an oldie question. This was campaign, wasn't it? During the campaign, pretty sure. National Guard in Memphis. I'm not seeing. Oh, maybe this. Oh, that's great. That is pretty funny, if that's what you're talking about. King. Shit, man. He leaned all the way into it. That's great. This won't play. Come on. Okay. Well, whatever. We got a couple more rants come in. Mighty Brush 68. Good to see you, man. John, I met you at GART Plymouth. You helped me take the painting off my truck after a 30-second convo. You're gracious and supportive and genuine. God bless. Yeah, man, you are so talented too. Your paintings were great. I think we gave one away, and that was during the raffle we did, which the proceeds to that went to Ash's Legal Defense Fund, which I believe she's still seeking money for. So please, guys, help her out. Yeah, you're a great man, and hope to see you at another GART. Don't be afraid to plug your art website on here sometime. Nevada Runner, 2 thumbs up. Thank you. 417 Patri QT says your live stream last night was perfection. Your case is rock solid. Got my 3-year-old singing Una Panuna on camera, and it's gold. Need to send it to you. We'll definitely cheer you up. GART T-minus 17 days. If you're going to be there, you should show me the video then. Otherwise, you can probably post it in one of the virtual. If you have a ticket to GART, you can post it probably in the GART Cocoa Beach chat, which is already up and running, I think. And it'll make its way to me there. Pilot Bryce, where and when is GART after Cocoa Beach? You know what? Let me look at the calendar here, because I don't think we've selected that one yet. We're going to. It's probably going to be February, March, or April, obviously in the spring. We have Deadwood and Las Vegas already booked over here. So like those are the venues are picked out. We put the deposits down and everything. Yeah, and like we typically try to get the whole year booked out a year in advance so people can make their plans, right? We're just trying to figure out the appropriate venues, because we want to get to a location we haven't necessarily been to, but that doesn't always mean the venue is going to work. We don't want to lose money on these. We just want to break even or as close to even as possible on the in-person ticket stuff. So, and keep our ticket price the same. That's the hard part, is we don't want to make these tickets so expensive that we price people out of coming. So we've done our best. We'll fluctuate 25, 50, $100 when we absolutely need to at some of these venues, but we do our best to keep it relatively the same. And we've done that since, all these cards. So we'll get those up as soon as we have more details. If you have any suggestions, there's probably an event coordinator in the chat that you can get a hold of, and she loves getting suggestions from people. And it just tag Mrs. Bright, be like, I have a suggestion, and she'll I'm sure she'll appreciate that greatly. Let's see here. Angel Christine Patriot. I love Badlands. I've been here since the beginning. Shows are great and the chat is wonderful. We are like one big family. Thank you, John, for creating this beautiful community. Thank you, Angel. Hugh Man 17. Good to see you, man. Thank you, John, and all the Badlands team for all you do. GART first timers, we have a Telegram group for you. Contact at Human 1776 or at the VA Bunny for info. Much love. Yeah, Human's great, by the way. Have you found a job yet? I know you were looking for one. So I need to remember to text Cheryl that we need to start like a Badlands classifieds for people who are hiring or looking for jobs, so we can help people in our community find work who need it. Not to be, ask a personal question. True Deplorable. John, we're not going anywhere. We're stuck like glue. Also, be sure to watch the 9-minute video Alpha put on X today. It was great, and he didn't mention names or specific situation. I did watch that, and it was a great video, and I do encourage you all to go check that out. Send your suggestions to John nonstop. You can send them to me. I'll forward them all to Miss Bright. Yeah, obviously I was joking when I said that Miss Bright loves suggestions, because she doesn't. Just doing my best. We're getting super close to the next GART, and so that's when our relationship, mine and Mrs. Bright's, gets the rockiest. Which GART is this? This is gonna be GART. This is GART 10. So this will be about the 10th time we've basically almost, I've almost been murdered by her. Not like actually, but verbally, or at least like I know she's wished that upon me. But then we always as soon as the event starts, things go great as always, because she's such a good planner. And by the time it's all said and done, we're like best friends. I'm sure I like annoy the piss out of her during those events, not more than Bernie Bright does. But then things are great until the next event gets closer, and I start throwing out stuff that have no basis in GART reality and just make her job tough. But you know what? That's why she gets paid the moderately average bucks. It's to deal with me and the shenanigans I put her through. She earns every penny. Angie K says, try this link. It's the funny one, or the one he posted. The blue sky was the best. Let me check that out. Okay, let's. Guido Higgins with another golden rant coming in says, try and set up a GART in Springfield, Ohio. Get Haitian caterers. I hear they're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. That is naughty. All right. Well, guys, we got a good crowd, but I think I'm gonna call it a night. I got a fairly busy day tomorrow. My daughter has cheerleading I have to go watch. I get to go watch. I get to go watch her cheerleading. That's, that she's just turned 6. Go out in the cold, sit there for an hour, and watch her do like 6 25-second cheers throughout that hour or so. But she loves it. She enjoys it. So that's all that matters. And then after that, my son has flag football, his last flag football game. And then tomorrow night I'll be on the narrative with Bernie Bright. Also, probably taking my girlfriend out for dinner or something. It's been a busy month or so, longer than that, but especially since I've been piecing together the video yesterday. It's been pretty nonstop. A lot of late nights, a lot of my focus there. I'm hoping I can get back to at least somewhat of a normalcy moving forward. So I'm gonna go get a good night's sleep tonight. And we'll be good to go tomorrow on the narrative. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up. Get yourself some soft disclosure. Get yourself some guard tickets, and we'll see you next time we see you. You guys have a great rest. No, I don't have an outro. Damn it. Let's see if I got anything queued up. I don't think so. You know what? We're gonna go cold turkey. We're just gonna end it. So thanks everybody. We will see you next time we see you. You guys have a great rest of your evening.